Never tell this man the opposite. We are now 15 books into the Harry Dresden series. The 15 Bookskin Game, published last week. He's, of course, the author of the Codex Alera series.
This is going to take forever.
Upcoming Cinder Spires as well. Is he finished yet? Not by a long shot. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim Butcher.
So, I've got a song stuck in my head, which occasionally happens. Normally it's like just some inane thing, but at this point it's a bad modification of the theme song to Game of Thrones. And you can just go through the whole thing that way. You can actually find it online of people, and it's like a group of people singing it together with an action figure of Tyrion Lannister just spinning around. And once it's heard, it cannot be unheard. So now, anytime you watch Game of Thrones, you just watch because you'll find yourself singing Peter Dinklage because it just makes sense. Anyway, I'm still enraged over that whole, because I haven't read past the first book, so the series is new. No, I read the first book when I was like 19 and was just like, I don't like anybody, there's nobody to root for, this is not a series that I'm digging. And but watching TV, it's different because there's boobs. And there's all these characters that I just love to watch, I wanted there to be a spin-off series. I wanted there to be a cop series of Tyrion and Bronn just running down his land. Because that would have been awesome. We totally could have done that. And I want Arya and the Hound to have their own series. Actually, I want it to be an anime series with like this giant hound, 15-foot tall hound, and the teeny 2-foot tall Arya. That would also make sense. But anyway. I guess we'll talk about stuff other than fandom at some point. It's hard for me to get my nerd on these days at times. What are we talking about?
Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Cinder Spires series? There's buzz about it, but we don't have much hard information.
The Cinder Spires. The first book is called The Aeronaut's Windlass because there are words like aeronauts and windlass, so you know it's steampunk. The Cinder Spires is, I kind of don't want to call it steampunk, I kind of want to call it steam opera, but then I thought maybe I should try and invent my own genre, and I'll just call it steampunk. But it's really somewhere between space opera and steampunk. It's Hornblower meets the X-Men. Only, that doesn't sound very steampunk either, so I say it's Hornblower meets the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. and because that's a steampunk here. But anyway, it's a fantasy series. It's to a great degree, it's multiple viewpoint characters. The setting of the story is a little bit more like the Dresden Files because things kind of get compiled into one terrible weekend. So it's got a little bit more of the pace of the Dresden Files, but it's got the multiple viewpoint characters to mess around with. I would like to say that people are going to love it because it's got a kind of a nifty story world, or that they're going to enjoy the mythology of the world that gets set up, or the characters, or the plot, but really they're going to like it because it's got talking cats. And they are the most horrible little monsters. They really are. They're terrible little tyrants. And yeah, they're big as cats. Yeah. And I would like to say that all these other things are what's going to make the story cool, but the cats are going to steal the show. They're going to upstage everyone. I love writing them because writing them is so much fun. And they're almost as good as they But anyway, yes, we've got airships and pirate captains and a great deal of just general fun and doodling and manners. Anyway, the first book, it would have been done. It's horrible dental things happened to me. So I lost about 2.5 weeks of my April. I spent them on medically sanctioned opiates during that time. I had my dentist going, are you sure you want more? No, I'm good. I've been watching the Weather Channel for like 3 hours. And it's still interesting, so I think I've got enough drugs. But I'll be finishing it up and then starting the next Dresden Files book. So I know that will relieve my editor. So that'll be coming out probably sometime next year. Great.
The wise internet tells me that you wrote storefronts to prove a point to your writing instructor, and that you wrote Codex Alera to sort of settle a bet. Was there some kind of epic conflict that led to the writing of Cinder Spires, or did it just come out of
well, it wasn't really an epic conflict. It was just more along the lines of overhearing a conversation you mentioned, where somebody was saying, "Oh, well, sure, the cosplay for it is great, but when is there really good or really popular steampunk series?" And there was a big discussion going on over my shoulder while I was walking around the convention floor. And plus, I wanted to write something that I could finally cosplay somebody from if I wanted to. Because, you know, I like to get my nerd on. And there's not really anybody in the Dresden Files I can do terribly well. No, I couldn't do butters. I'm not skinny enough for butters. I'm not scrawny enough for butters. But anyway, so that was part of the reason for it. And then plus, steampunk cosplay is really cool. You know, I'm just kind of enjoying all these outfits and everything that's happening. It's like, ooh, I'm going to start building this stuff in the world, and that would be a lot of fun. And so, basically, I was just having my nerdy fun at home, and then I thought, well, maybe this should be a book. And I showed some beta readers, and the beta readers were like, "This is excellent." So I'm like, "It is." Okay, then let's try this.
You recently said in an interview that titanium nav became like a fish needs a bicycle. Harry is constantly surrounded by women like Molly and Murphy and Charity. What inspires the particularly powerful women of the Dresden Files series?
Oh, probably Princess Leia. You know, I mean, she was kind of the first action heroine that I remember seeing.